Kare Mapenduka and welcome to Africa Good Morning, the show that keeps you up to date with the latest news in Africa and beyond. I am Glenora Shipura. Let's take a look at what you can expect in today's broadcast. UNESCO finds ISIS-era bombs in Mosul mosque walls, and tensions delay unveiling of new South Africa government. At least 18 killed in suspected suicide attacks in Nigeria. We'll also be talking to Talen Gore, who'll be filling us in on the latest news in Zimbabwe, along with Ari Hohat, who will bring us the latest in the world of sports. We'll be right back with your top stories.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
Getting to our top stories, the United Nations Cultural Agency has discovered 5 bombs hidden within the walls of the historic Al-Nouri Mosque in the city of Mosul in northern Iraq, a remnant of the Islamic State militant group's rule over the area, UNESCO said in a statement on Saturday. Iraqi authorities have requested UNESCO to halt all reconstruction operations at the Al-Nouri Mosque and evacuate the entire complex until the devices are disarmed. The mosque, famous for its 12th century leaning minaret, was destroyed by IS in 2017 and has been a focal point of the UNESCO restoration efforts since 2020. UNESCO said that 5 large-scale explosive devices designed for significant destruction were found inside the southern wall of the prayer hall on Tuesday. They were concealed within a specially rebuilt section of the wall, the statement said, adding Iraqi authorities were notified and the area secured. It said 1 bomb had been defused and removed, while the remaining 4 are interconnected and will be safely disposed of in the coming days. IS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi declared an Islamic caliphate from the mosque a decade ago on June 29, 2014, leading to its destruction when extremists blew it up during the battle to liberate Mosul in 2017. Excuse me. Getting to our next story, South Africa's weekend African National Congress and its biggest coalition partner are squabbling over key jobs in the new cabinet, media reports say, nearly a month after elections. Excuse me. President Cyril Ramaphosa has called for the opening of the new parliament on July 18th to address MPs, the government said on Friday. But no indication was given on when the highly anticipated announcement of a new cabinet would be made. Ramaphosa, who's 71, who has been re-elected for a second full term, will lead what his ANC calls a government of national unity after losing its outright majority in the May 29th general election. After the previous elections, he announced his cabinet less than a week after being inaugurated. But in recent days, local media have reported tensions in negotiations between the ANC and the largest opposition party, the Democratic Alliance, which won 87 parliamentary seats compared to the ANC's 159. The ANC has accused the DA of making outrageous demands for cabinet positions in documents leaked to the press. Several other documents detailing disagreements on positions between Ramaphosa and DA leader John Steenhuisen have circulated on social media. Zakele Ndlovu, politics professor at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, said the ANC's goal was to retain strategic portfolios such as security, finance and trade. But according to leaked documents, the DA also hopes to secure, among over 10 others, the Trade and Industry Ministry, which the ANC has refused. We'll be right back with your top stories after this.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Continuing with our top stories, at least 18 people have been killed and 30 injured in a series of deadly blasts in Nigeria thought to have been carried out by female suicide bombers. One of the bombings is reported to have killed 6 people and injured others at a wedding ceremony on a Saturday in the northeastern Borno state. The state's emergency management agency said the coordinated attacks targeted a wedding, the victim's subsequent funeral, and a hospital in the town of Gwoza. President Bola Tinubu condemned the attacks, calling them desperate acts of terror in a statement shared by his media aide on Facebook. He vowed stern action against those responsible for the killings in the town of Gwoza and insisted that the incident had not undermined recent gains made against jihadis. The president declares that the purveyors of wanton violence shall have a certain encounter with justice and that these cowardly attacks are only but an isolated episode, as his government will not allow the nation to slither into an era of fear, tears, sorrow, and blood, it read. Getting to our next story, Islamic State fighters have killed nearly 4,100 people in Syria since 2019, when the jihadis lost their last stronghold in the country, a war monitor said on Saturday. IS overran large swaths of Syria and Iraq in 2014, proclaiming a so-called caliphate and launching a reign of terror in June of that year. In March 2019, the jihadist group lost its last scraps of Syrian territory in a Kurdish-led military campaign backed by US-led coalition, but remnants continue to launch deadly attacks from desert hideouts. IS fighters have killed about 4,100 people in more than 2,550 operations in areas controlled by the regime or the semi-autonomous Kurdish administration since 2019, the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said in a report. Now, most of the victims are soldiers, government loyalties, and Kurdish-led fighters, but the toll also includes 627 civilians. The Britain-based observatory said now more than half of the 4,085 victims fell in Syria's vast Badia Desert, which runs from the outskirts of Damascus to the Iraqi border. A total of 2,744 people have been killed by the IS group since its formal collapse in 2019 in various areas of the Syrian desert, said the monitor, which relies on a network of sources inside the country. IS fighters have killed more than 2,500 government loyalists and soldiers in the Badia since their so-called Salafite fell, according to the observatory. Getting to the last of our top stories, Mozambique has invited Zambia to take part in a project to build a new power plant similar to the Cahora Bassa hydroelectric plant in Tete province. The project design is still in the initial phase, and Mozambique wants Zambia to join the initiative. The invitation was made last Thursday by President of the Republic, Filipe Nyusi, after signing legal instruments with Zambia during a visit to that country. Issues of bilateral cooperation between Mozambique and Zambia dominated meetings between the presidents of the two countries and their delegations. The President of the Republic said that Thursday's talks confirmed that Mozambique and Zambia have dreams in common. At the meeting, the two heads of state expressed their desire to boost the dry port projects that Zambia is to build in Mozambique in order to boost its economy. Another subject discussed at the meeting between the two delegations was a memorandum of understanding on joint transfrontier conservation projects between Mozambique, Zimbabwe, and Zambia. President of Zambia, Hakainde Hichilema, said that cooperation between the two countries would contribute to the development of the region. That concludes our top stories. On the other side of the break, Talent Gore will be bringing us the latest news in Zimbabwe.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss my .NA cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Here's Talent Gore bringing us the latest news from the House of Stone. Good morning, Talent.
Good morning, Glenora and Africa. Good morning.
Now, in your first story, daily fuel consumption reaches 5 million liters. Can you get into this?
According to the Ministry of Energy and Power Development, Zimbabwe's daily fuel consumption has reached liters per day, with petrol accounting for 2 million, whilst diesel accounts for 3 million liters. The Energy Ministry said there's a need for a secure supply of the fuel for economic stability and growth. They also said that this was too much, as before the country used 3 million liters per day of fuel, and now they need to have a secure for the fuel. They do not want to have those fuel shortages in the future. So the government has said that they are working to ensure that they cater for everyone who will be in need of fuel, as the demand has now increased.
Right. Now, getting into your next story, businessmen Mike Chimombe and Moses Mpofo have been remanded in police custody after being charged with fraud involving $7 million a goat scheme. What's going on there?
Yes, I think last week I did a story whereby Mike Chimombe and Moses were arrested by the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission. They are involved in swindling, or rather they're involved in a God scheme, presidential God scheme, in which they defrauded the Minister of Agriculture. Apparently they were supposed to supply the Minister of Agriculture with more than 600,000 goats, presidential goat scheme, but they only supplied 4,000 goats, and the other money that was deposited into their accounts, they used it for personal use. Apparently they were supposed to supply these goats in a period of 5 years. So the deal was entered in 2021, and so far, up until now, they only supplied 4,000 goats, and they have not supplied anything anymore. And the government, or rather the state, is saying that they defrauded the government, they defrauded the Ministry of Agriculture, and there was need for them to explain what happened to the money that they were given, because the government gave them $7 for the God scheme. So they were remanded in custody, and they will appear again today for bail hearing.
Well, do keep us posted whether they get bail or not. Now, moving on, 78 Citizens Coalition for Change activists face more time in prison cells for allegedly holding an unsanctioned gathering in Harare.
Yes, the opposition party CCC officials were arrested on June 16 in Harare at one of their leaders' places. They were apparently they were commemorating the Day of the African Child when the police came and they were arrested. So right now they're charged with intent to cause public violence. So right now they are still in custody, and the magistrate has said that they should come back on July 10th for bail hearing, but right now they are not suitable for bail hearing because the magistrate said that they were violent and they were not candidates for bail hearing. Their lawyers had said that they are going to approach the High Court for a bail hearing because bail is everyone's right and they have a right to a bail. So right now we're just waiting to hear what their lawyers are going to say, whether they're going to go to the High Court or they're just going to wait for July 10th for the bail hearing application. So we're just going to be monitoring the situation to see how going to be kept in a prison. Apparently they said that they were just commemorating Day of the African Child when the police came and took them.
All right, thank you, Talin, for bringing us those stories from Zimbabwe.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for having me.
It's always a pleasure having a talent on the show. Moving on, we're going to take a look at our weather predictions before we return with economic news. Getting into our economic news, more than 56,000 have benefited from visa-free travel to Mozambique. To March of this year, more than 56,000 travelers from 29 countries had benefited from the electronic visa for tourism and business purposes since the implementation of Measure 13 of the Economic Acceleration Package in December 2022. This measure allows visa exemptions for citizens of 29 countries and the granting of permission to enter the national territory for foreign investors for longer periods, aiming to make their visits more flexible, adding value to the Mozambique brand and making the country more competitive as a tourist destination. The PAE measures revolve around two main factors: a fiscal and economic stimulus package and measures to improve the business environment in terms of governance and transparency. According to the most recent balance to which Noticias has had access during the period in which the measure was enforced, approved foreign investment registered an increase of 30%. We now take a look at our economic indicators. Now, as I always say, I can only trust Ari Jochart to bring me the latest in the world of sports. Good morning, Ari.
Yes, very, very good morning. Yes, I hope I had better news with the cricket, but everybody do know by now that South Africa came close to win the T20 World Cup for men, the Cricket World Cup. We had a Caribbean jaw from Namibia Media Holdings as well there with Brian. But unfortunately, it was close, but no cigar. It was India that won their second T20 World Cup. They beat South Africa by 7. Indian Rohit Sharma there in action. India 176 for 7. South Africa 169 for 8, unfortunately. And it was Virat Kohli scoring 76 runs, and Rohit Sharma, the captain, both of them said they retire from T20 international cricket on a high, winning the World Cup. So well done to South Africa, very close. It's a tough tournament to win, but it's heartbreaking for South Africa, obviously, as well. But they'll fight to win, hopefully, a tournament soon. On to some soccer news. It's a big one. It's the Euro 2024 tournament that's taking place at the moment. Games from Sunday was firstly that England beat Slovakia. They beat them by 2-1 in extra time, but they were a minute away from being kicked out of the tournament in the round of 16. It was a 95th minute goal by Jude Bellingham, a brilliant goal that made it 1-1. And then just the first minute of extra time, Harry Kane scored the 2-1. They flew to face Switzerland that early on Saturday beat Italy, the defending champions, by 2-0. And Spain also a comfortable win of 4-1 against Georgia. Spain now faced in the quarterfinals, they faced the host, Germany. And today, today a big game is France against Belgium. Moving on to Formula One racing news, it's an exciting season. It's a lot more competitive than last year. We were used to Max Verstappen just winning all the races 2023. It was the Austrian Grand Prix. It was George Russell in Mercedes-Benz that won, Oscar Piastri second, and Carlos Sainz third in a Ferrari. No Max Verstappen or Lando Norris 1 or 2. The reason is they had an accident. They touched, and both of them had punctures just about 5 or 7 laps from the end. So Max Verstappen did finish in 5th position, but Lando Norris couldn't finish the race. So it was George Russell that had a first win for Mercedes-Benz since 2022, the Brazilian Grand Prix, going back all that way. So that's Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen talking, and it was not a good race for Max Verstappen in the end. And let's close off with some cycling news as well. Big event. It's the biggest cycling one of the world. It is the Tour de France that started on Sunday. And it was Saturday actually started. On Sunday, the second stage won by Kevin Vaclanen. He is from France, and he had a breakaway on his own, and he won by 35 or 36 seconds to Jonas Abrahamsen. But the winners or the leaders at the moment are the top 3 that will contend over the next 2 weeks. It is Tadej Pogačar. He's leading at the moment, yellow jersey, but just a second ahead of Remco Evenepoel and also Jonas Vingegaard. So those 3, the big 3, will be challenging. Lots to cycle for still. Today they have a 230-kilometer stage from Plaisance to Turin. So interesting times. So we'll follow that. And obviously also today, make a note, it is Wimbledon starting in London. It is one of the 4 majors on the tennis circuit. Always nice with the strawberries and cream there in England on the grass tournament. Is Wimbledon day 1 today. So hopefully it's a good sports day, a sports week for everyone, and we talk international sport again tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Ari Hohat from bringing us the latest in the world of sports. We'll be right back with your highlights. Getting into the recap of today's show. UNESCO finds ISIS era bombs in Mosul mosque walls. Tensions delay unveiling of new South Africa government. More than 56,000 have benefited from visa-free travel to Mozambique. And with that, we've come to the end of the broadcast. Thank you for joining Africa Good Morning on this beautiful Monday morning. From me, Glenna Rashipura. Until next time.